Good evening and welcome to Newsbite. I'm Nicole Peters and making the headlines this week. Pilling School holds their annual May Fayre. We speak to Wirebird officer Denny Leo. We learn about what goes on in the hospital's laboratories and your weekly sports action. Pilling Primary School hosted a May Fayre on Saturday, the 14th of May, with the highlight of the day being the May Queen contest. People of all ages attended Pilling Primary School for the May Fayre. Nicole Peters entertained with his selection of music as people took part in many stalls that were set up on the day, from car boot stalls to Splat the Rat and another game that saw Oscar Thorpe get a mouthful of soapy water on numerous occasions. Governor Lisa Phillips also attended the event and even took part in some of the games. Other entertainment for the day included the children doing the traditional May pole dance, which was followed by a group of line dancers. Then came the main event, the May Queen contest campaigned by Deborah Knipe. After a few elimination rounds, Amber George was crowned May Queen, with Katie Gonzalez first runner-up and Tia Williams second runner-up. Amber will now hold this title for 2 years. With everyone talking about the airport and Jonathan going viral on YouTube, there's one little guy that seems to have been forgotten, our lowly Wirebird. Liam Yan headed out to Millennium Forest and spoke to Wirebird officer Denny Leo to find out more about how they are doing.
Well, he's a plover of the plover family, and he was originally a semi-desert bird, which if you look over here, this would have been his main habitat over here on Prosperous Bay, but he's adjusted to the pastures, the cow pastures, the sheep pastures. So he's sort of, he's an island bird now. The situation at the moment is pretty good because for the first time since '98, we've had our highest adult count, which was 559 adults, island-wide. So, yeah, we're moving in the right direction in terms of numbers.
We are an island, would you most likely be able to see a Wirebird? What kind of area?
If you're on Francis Plain, you'd see a Wirebird. If you're driving through Longwood, you'd definitely see a Wirebird on a golf course. But our core sites is Deadwood Plain, all of the pastures. So from Foxy's Garage right out, Flagstaff, Natalie Ghat. Then we got Woody Ridge, it's another good area where you can see Wirebirds, the Solomon's pasture. And Prosperous Bay, Upper and Northern Prosperous Bay. Brilliant area for Wirebirds. But I don't know if you allow one Deadwood Plain or Prosperous Bay. I don't know what the situation is with that.
Okay, so I know from when we came out here when the first passenger plane to land on St. Helena, and by chance we managed to come over here with you. We did see a Wirebird and its nest, And I was quite surprised at the location of the nest. It was like out of nowhere, this nest was there. So what can you say about that and the threat to Wirebird nests when from the public?
Horse Point, if we're talking about Horse Point, it'd be just better if you view in the plane to sort of stay on the tracks what you can see, because the bird can be anywhere in the creeper, so if you're running over, you can see all the tracks where people just sort of went anywhere. But again, that's what it's all about, education, because we didn't say to nobody, oh, you can't go on there. So obviously people just went on there because they thought it was okay. But the idea for the Wirebird in the future is to sort of educate people, on terms of where you can go, why you can't go on that spot. And because, like, for instance, Horse Point, this is a brilliant area. If you look and you want to view the plane coming in, it's a brilliant area. So we have to sort of have something that humans as well as the Wirebirds, we got to learn to live together. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what was the original Wirebird numbers on Ireland. Maybe we were above what was here in the beginning, because you got to remember a lot of St. Helena was wooded, so you didn't probably have that with playing. Maybe it was just on Prosperous Bay. But for me, we got to do, like, if you look in front of me here, what I'm up to right now is a bit of habitat clearing. So hopefully I'm saying a bird will use this next year to put a nest on, because I've created sort of an open space and left the creeper for the chick to hide in or whatever. So for us, I think we got to create more habitat and clean the existing habitat.
So, Denny, you've been working with the Wirebirds for a bit of time now. I know before you had Gavin Alec or Eddie Duffers, was doing it.
Yeah.
But from you guys, obviously the Wirebird is quite important. It's important to the island. So what is the significance of the Wirebird to St. Helena for you?
Well, for me, it's the only existing land bird, only endemic land bird. So it's the only one left, So if you lose that one, then you fail, I suppose.
Roughly 2/3 of the doctor's diagnoses are done from the hospital's laboratories. The labs have an external organisation in the UK that monitors their performance and assesses them each year to make sure they are up to international standards. The General Hospital in Jamestown has 2 laboratories, a clinical lab and the food and water lab. Senior biomedical scientist Jeffrey Benjamin explained a bit more about what happens in the clinical lab.
So the clinical lab is divided into various disciplines. So we're divided into hematology, the main ones, hematology, blood transfusion, biochemistry, microbiology. This is our lab. There are other disciplines like histopathology and gynecology, cytology, which we don't do here, we send off. Okay? So hematology is mainly where we study all the red cells, white cells, platelets to see if patients have anemia, leukemias, and that sort of thing, thalassemia, sickle cells. And once we discover what the pathogen is, we need to let the doctor know what antibiotics to use to cure it.
Yeah.
So we do what we call sensitivity. So in here, you've got a disc with different antibiotics.
Yeah.
And we test the organism against the antibiotics. So we simulate the body conditions, and then we have to know what they like. Some bacteria like to grow in carbon dioxide, so we have to give them the carbon dioxide. Some bacteria likes to grow anaerobically, take all the oxygen out, so we have to take all the oxygen out. Some grow better in oxygen. So
we then went and spoke to senior food microbiologist Gifson Banda, who told us about what happens in the food and water lab.
Where we essentially test food, mainly fish. We also have the capacity to test any different kind of foods, and we also test the waters, mostly microbiology, where we're looking for the bacteria that could potentially cause disease in people. We also do a bit of chemistry. I'm sure you've probably heard about histamine outbreaks and so forth. So we also test for histamine in fish as soon as it lands. We collect it from the fisheries, and then we can check whether there is histamine or not in the fish. And then the water, again, we're testing for microbiology, just to make sure that the water is suitable for human consumption in the distribution.
Okay.
Yeah. So we also, maybe just to add, we are also what is called an ISO 17025 accredited lab. So what it essentially means is we've got an external organization, UCAS, in the UK, that sort of monitors our performance and assesses us each year to see whether we are working to international standards. So essentially, whatever test results we give you, you can take them anywhere else in the world. They'll be the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So Helen is the quality manager. She's mostly in charge of that side of things, maintaining the quality management system to make sure that when we do get assessed, we don't have any issues that are raised that will make us fail our accreditation.
The laboratories are not heard of or spoken about often, but they play a big part in our health service on St. Helena. Without them, we would have to send all diagnoses off island, which consequently could slow treatment down. Here now is Hannah Danford with your weekly sports roundup.
The cricket season is now over, with the knockout final being the last match of the season. Greg Coleman led All Stars to victory over Rebels in the 2016 Knockout Cup final on Saturday afternoon. He was impressive with both the ball and the Nabat as All Stars picked up their third title of the season. It was the second consecutive year that two teams from the district of Levelwood contested the ultimate match of the cricket season. Rebels batted first and did not start well. They lost both opening batsmen in the first two balls of the match. Brendan Leo was run out and then Calvin George was caught on the long-on boundary by Sanjay Klingham off the very next ball. It took cameos from Aidan Leo and Delroy Leo to steady the ship, and Weston Klingham did the bulk of the scoring at the back end of the innings. Rebels posted a competitive score of 146 for 9. In reply, All Stars lost early wickets as well. Ross Henry was caught by Weston Klingham off the first ball of the innings, and Gareth Johnson was bowled by Aidan Leo in the second over. But Greg Coleman dug in and produced an innings that effectively won the match for All Stars. Following the final, the floating team trophies were presented and a list of the individual award winners was read out. The SHCA plans to hold an awards event when the trophies arrive on island. All Stars were League T20 and Knockout champions. Runners-up in the league were St Matthews Lions, with Jamestown Barracudas and Levelwood Rebels scooping the runner-up spot in the T20 and Knockout Cups, respectively. Best bowling average of the season went to Gareth Johnson, who was also the Player of the Year. Ross Henry will soon pick up awards for the season's highest score, the best batting average, and the most sixes. Daryl Leo is the wicket-keeper of the season, and Scott Crowey took the most catches during the league. Aidan Leo was the Young Player of the season, and Dax Richards struck the highest score in the first round of the knockout. David Young scored the most runs in the T20 Cup, and Ryan Belgrove struck the most T20 sixes. Gareth Johnson picked up the most T20 wickets, and Daryl Leo and Sanjay Klingham shared the award for the most T20 catches.
Thank you, Hannah. Well, that's it for this week's Newsbite. Do tune in again next week for more top stories, including the St. Helena Day celebrations. I'm Nicole Peters, and thank you for watching.